go to the waiver wire. Next week's schedule, most teams have 4 or 3 games. However, there are 3 teams with 2 games. That is Toronto, Houston, and Charlotte. I'm going to jump right into it. We're each going to go with 2 available in 50% of leagues players and then 1 long shot of the week without Ken here. My first option, Bones Hyland. 53% roster in Yahoo, 15% in ESPN. He's about only 150th for the season, but it's very clear that he's just a usage hog. When he plays, he shoots, he passes, and whenever anybody's out, especially in the backcourt for Denver, it's more Bones. And right now, Jamal Murray's in COVID protocols, as is Nikola Jokic. Complicates things for Denver. Not sure exactly how long they'll be out. Like, we've seen guys like Brad Beal miss 4 or 5 games with COVID protocols. We've seen some guys come back after like 1 or 2 games. It's just not clear. But I think he's someone that you can just keep on your bench in 12-teamers. You stream him in on a 4-game week. You stream him in if Jamal Murray's out. I think he has to be rostered in 12-teamers.
Yeah, I think that's a good call. And it's pretty insane how productive he's been this year in limited time. Under 21 minutes per game, 14.7 points, 3.5 assists, 3.1 3-pointers while shooting 50% from downtown. It's just bonkers. And a good chunk of his field goal attempts are coming from downtown every game. He's going to get in there and even in 20 minutes has had just gigantic games. Like you said, with Murray out, his short-term value for tonight. So if you're in a daily league with streaming options, Bones is a great option for Friday night and probably through the next 2 or 3 games, possibly, depending on how quickly Murray bounces back. The Denver team is, especially in the backcourt, I do feel like they still have some depth because you have Murray, you have Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and then Hyland and Bruce Brown both off the bench. It's to be determined, if Bones Hyland's going to get the start for Murray on Friday night or Bruce Brown. I think it's 50-50 right now. I might lean slightly towards Brown being the more likely option. And honestly, Brown is a good streaming option right now as well.
Mm-hmm. Who is your available in 50% of leagues player?
Yeah, all of my guys actually would qualify as long shots this week, but it's hard to pass up. Even they're so low owned. I still think these guys need to be highlighted. The first one is Cam Reddish, who is now starting for the New York Knicks. He's been solid too. He's only, it feels like Cam has been around forever, but he's only 23. And he seems to be picking up some steam with the Knicks. He's started 7 games in a row, but if you look at just the past 3 games, he's averaged 34 minutes, 18 points, 2.3 steals, 1 block, and 1.3 3-pointers per game, 57% from the floor, 91% from the line during that 3-game stretch. But essentially, his first 4 starts were not pretty. But this is showing what kind of upside he has. I think he's worth it, especially on weeks as a streaming option on weeks where the Knicks have 4 games. As long as he's in the starting lineup, he should be on the radar for more fantasy leagues than he currently is, as he's only owned in 6% of Yahoo and 3% of ESPN leagues.
Yeah, I am not convinced Reddish is that good of a basketball player, but if the Knicks are going to continue trusting him, and he's going to continue playing about 30 minutes a game, you got to take a look. My next guy for 50% of leagues is Malik Beasley, who's rostered in 43% of Yahoo and 40% of ESPN. Got off to a bit of a slow start, but we have Rudy Gay out for 2 weeks plus. Beasley, purely a 3-and-D guy. So if you're looking for anything besides like 3-pointers and steals, and he's not even getting that many steals this year, to be honest, you got to look elsewhere. But past 5 games for Beasley, 16.5 points, 4.3 threes, 5 boards. That's pretty nice for him. 1.5 assists, 1 steal in 28 minutes. Jazz play 4 games this week. So I think just at the very least, he's a stream in. And then if he continues to play well, maybe he just turns into a hold.
Yeah, he's very similar to Lonnie Walker, who I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Comparable production, more 3-pointers from Beasley. He's definitely a stream option. My second pickup is going to be Grant Williams. Figured I need to give the Celtics some love with Ken missing today's episode. And I poo-poo on Grant Williams often, but he's playing solid right now. And he's basically locked into the Celtics starting lineup. He started 6 straight games for Boston. Over that stretch, 32 minutes, 10.7 points, 5.2 rebounds, and 1.8 3-pointers. Good percentages, 55 and 82%. Yeah, he's nothing too spectacular. Doesn't get as many defensive stats as I would like, but a solid producer while he's locked into the starting lineup, especially if you're in like a 14-team league where he's available. He's a guy you can put into your lineup when the Celtics have 4 games.
Someone who has proven to have the trust of the coaching staff and can play both front court positions. So yeah, no shortage of. He has a very high minutes floor.
Yes.
So I do like that option for him. He can occasionally pop off. My long shot this week, Deni Avdija, 11% roster in Yahoo, 2% in ESPN. The Anthony Gill experience has come to a close. Not really sure what that was about. It was kind of a bizarre fever dream. But their options, aside from Avdija, they just don't, like, they're really shallow. The Wizards are very shallow. They're getting like a lot of minutes out of Jordan Goodwin, who is essentially an unknown guy. They're playing Porzingis along at center. It's like they still don't feel like they can trust Hachimura a ton. So I like his upside to continue seeing about 30 minutes a game. A lot of these recent performances that he's been playing well have come without Bradley Beal, but he followed that up the other night in the game that Beal was back. His per 36 over the past 2 seasons, 12 points, 1.5 threes, 7.6 boards, 3 assists, 1.1 steals, almost a block. That's okay. Like, you're in a deep league. You're getting a guy who plays 30 minutes and has that as his averages. I think that guy has to be rostered if you're in like a 16-teamer.
Yeah, exactly. And it's that 3-point block steal combination. He rebounds decently, but 1.3 steals, 0.8 blocks, and 2 3-pointers per game over his past 4. I like him as a pickup as well. For my long shot, I'm going to Motown. Marvin Moneybags Bagley. It hasn't been impressive so far. He's only played 3 games this year, but he's started each of the past 2 with Isaiah Stewart, set to miss probably a handful more games at least. Bagley should stick in the starting lineup. Over those 2 starts, he's averaged 10 points, 6.5 rebounds, doing nothing on the defensive end, which is to be expected. But he really hasn't had the opportunity to shake off the rust much yet. I think he will get more productive over the course of the next week or so. I don't expect it to be league-winning production by any means. There's also a worry that Jalen Duren could eat some of those minutes. Last night with the Pistons, Dwayne Casey before the game said that it's basically impossible for him to play minutes Duren and Bagley together because the lack of spacing available when those two are on the court together. So they're probably going to split minutes pretty evenly at the 5 spot with Stewart out. I think, depending on your appetite and your which categorical need you have, if you're looking more for rebounds and blocks, Duren's probably the better streaming option. But if you need scoring, then it's going to be Marvin Bagley. And it should be noted as well that Bagley did start. His first start was with Stewart in the starting lineup. That was the game Stewart left due to injury. So Bagley could get a pretty long leash in the starting lineup.
Yeah, and you never know what happens when Cade comes back. I mean, Cade being available as a distributor to feed the ball to Bagley more is good because Bagley isn't someone who necessarily is great at creating his own offense. Right. So I think he actually may have more upside when Cade comes back. So it could go a hold.
And those two flashed some chemistry last season as well. And Bagley really is the only lob option on that team. Isaiah Stewart's a great hustle player, but he's not really an above the rim guy. So Bagley having that lob option for Cade is not the worst thing in the world.